They all said I was broken.
Then they were wrong.
You choose me?
The holding pen at the Xenar slave market smelled of disinfectant and despair. Vara sat in the corner, her emerald skin dulled from malnutrition, her once vibrant crimson hair now tangled and lifeless. The chains on her wrists clinked softly as she drew her knees to her chest, trying to make herself as small as possible. She'd been returned 7 times in 3 months. Defective, the Cruelty merchant had said, throwing her back into the transport shuttle. Can't even lift basic cargo. Broken, the Thraxian mine owner had declared. She flinches at loud noises. Useless in the tunnels. Damaged goods, spat the Vorgin restaurant owner. Cries when customers yell. We want a server who weeps. Each rejection had been documented, stamped onto her digital collar with brutal efficiency. 7 red marks, 7 failures, 7 confirmations that she was worthless. The slavers had finally given up trying to sell her at premium rates. Now she sat in the discount section, waiting to be sold for parts or simply disposed of. Vara had stopped hoping 3 rejections ago. The pen's door hissed open, and Grexel, the Zendar slaver, lumbered in with his datapad. Got someone interested in the broken ones, he grunted. Human of all things. Apparently, they're too stupid to read rejection codes. Vara barely looked up. She'd learned not to hope. Humans were rare in this sector, and the few she'd heard about were either ruthless mercenaries or desperate colonists. Either way, she'd probably be returned within a week. 8 rejections would mean automatic termination. Station policy. On your feet, defect, Grexel snapped, kicking her foot. Try not to embarrass yourself more than usual. Vara stood slowly, her legs shaking from days of minimal rations. She followed Grexel through the maze of pens, past beings in various states of despair, until they reached the viewing room. The human stood with his back to them, studying a holographic display of available merchandise. He was tall by human standards, with brown hair starting to gray at the temples and wearing a worn jacket that had seen better years. When he turned, Vara was struck by his eyes, deep brown and unexpectedly gentle. This is lot 847, Grexel said, shoving Vara forward. Venlarian female, age 23, standard years. She's been through 7 previous owners. All returned her for various deficiencies. We're offering her at 75% discount due to her issues. The human's eyes narrowed as he read the rejection codes on Vara's collar display. What kind of issues? Weak constitution, emotional instability, inability to perform basic labor tasks, Grexel rattled off. Honestly, human. She's only good for scrapping at this point. I've got better specimens in the premium section. I didn't ask for a sales pitch, the human interrupted quietly. I asked what her issues were. Maybe I should hear from her. Grexel's face twisted in confusion. She's a slave. You don't need to. I'm going to need you to step outside for a moment, the human said, his tone leaving no room for argument. There was something in his voice, a hint of steel beneath the gentleness, that made even Grexel pause. Fine, the slaver muttered. You've got 5 minutes. But don't blame me when you waste your credits on defective merchandise. He left, the door sealing behind him. The human turned to Vara, and she instinctively stepped back, hitting the wall. He noticed immediately and stopped moving, holding up his hands in a placating gesture. Hey, it's okay. I'm not going to hurt you, he said softly. My name's Thomas Reeves. I'm a terraform engineer working on the colony at New Cascadia. I came here looking for someone to help run my household while I'm out in the field. He paused, pulling up a chair and sitting down, making himself less imposing. What's your name? Vara stared at him, confused. No one had asked her name in months. Vara, she whispered. Vara, Thomas repeated as if testing the sound. That's a pretty name. Listen, Vara, I read your rejection codes. Want to tell me your side of the story? Why did they send you back? She couldn't understand why he cared, but something about his calm demeanor made her want to answer. The first owner, he wanted me to load cargo containers. Each one weighed more than I do. Well, I couldn't lift them. He said I was defective. Thomas nodded slowly. That doesn't sound effective. That sounds like someone giving you a job that didn't match your physical capabilities. What about the second owner? The Thraxian mine owner. The tunnels were dark and cramped, and the blasting charges, the noise. Vara's voice cracked. I couldn't stop shaking. He said I was broken. Sounds like a natural fear response to me, Thomas said gently. And the others? One by one, Vara recounted her rejections. The restaurant where customers would scream at her for minor mistakes until she broke down. The factory where the toxic fumes made her violently ill, unlike the Krellian workers who had natural resistances. The estate where she was expected to work 20-hour days without adequate rest. The ship where she was punished for being homesick. With each story, Thomas's expression grew darker, though not with anger at her, with anger for her. Vara, he said finally, there's nothing broken about you. You were given impossible tasks by people who didn't care whether you succeeded or failed. The problem wasn't you. It was them. Vara felt tears streaming down her face. No one had said anything like that to her in so long. But my collar, the codes, everyone who sees them knows I'm defective. Thomas stood and walked slowly toward her, giving her time to move away if she wanted. She didn't. He reached up and examined her collar, his jaw clenching. This thing is coming off the second we get to New Cascadia. But first, I need to ask you something important. He crouched down so they were eye level. I'm not looking for heavy labor. I need someone to maintain my home, cooking, basic cleaning, maybe helping with administrative work when I'm cataloging survey data. The work isn't hard, but it is important. You'd have your own room, full access to the house systems, and I'd pay you a wage. A wage? Vara whispered. But you're a person who deserves to be treated with dignity, Thomas said firmly. I don't believe in slavery, Vara. If I buy your contract, it's only so I can bring you to New Cascadia and emancipate you properly under human colonial law. After 6 months, you'd be a free citizen with full rights. You could leave if you wanted, or stay on as paid staff. Your choice. Vara couldn't breathe. This had to be a trick. Humans were supposed to be as ruthless as any other species. Why would you do this? Thomas smiled sadly. Because 20 years ago, I was the one everyone said was broken. I had panic attacks, couldn't handle crowds, failed every job I tried. Then someone gave me a chance doing survey work on empty planets. Turned out I wasn't broken. I just needed the right environment. I see the same thing in you, Vara. You're not defective. You've just been in the wrong places with the wrong people. He extended his hand. So what do you say? Want to give New Cascadia a try? No heavy lifting, no loud explosions, no one screaming at you. Just a quiet house on the edge of a forest that needs someone to look after it. Vara stared at his outstretched hand. 7 times she'd hoped, 7 times she'd been crushed. An 8th rejection would mean termination. But as she looked into Thomas's honest eyes, she realized something. Maybe being broken wasn't about failing to meet impossible standards. Maybe it was about being placed in situations designed to break you. And maybe, just maybe, this human understood that. Slowly, Vara reached out and placed her hand in his. His grip was warm and steady. I'll try, she whispered. Thomas's smile lit up his entire face. That's all anyone can ask. Come on, let's get you out of here. Grexel's probably wondering if I've lost my mind. As they walked toward the door, Vara felt something she hadn't experienced in months, a tiny spark of hope. She was still scared, still marked with 7 rejections, still labeled as broken by a galaxy that didn't care. But for the first time, she was with someone who saw past the labels to the person underneath. Thomas opened the door to find Grexel waiting impatiently. "Well, are you buying the defect or not?" "Her name is Vara," Thomas said coolly, pulling out his credit chip. "And yes, I'll take her. Full purchase price, no discount." Grexel's eyes widened. "But she's marked as—" "I know exactly what she's marked as," Thomas interrupted. "And I'm telling you those marks are wrong. Now process the sale, and I'll be on my way." As the transaction completed and the ownership transfer registered, Vara felt the collar's status change from rejected 7 to sold. But unlike every other time, this sale felt different. It felt like the beginning of something rather than another ending. Thomas guided her toward the docking bay where his ship waited. "Welcome to your new life, Vara. I promise you, it's going to be better than what came before." As they left the slave market behind, Vara allowed herself to believe him. She'd been broken by a galaxy that valued strength over kindness, productivity over personhood. But maybe, just maybe, she found the one person who could help her heal. And in a universe that had labeled her as defective, that was worth more than all the credits in the sector.